Today, we're going to unpack the really surprising line that connects the things we buy, who we want to be, and these massive waves of debt that are literally reshaping our world. And it all starts with a simple, kind of weird question.
I know, it sounds like a riddle, right? But it's a very real question. How on earth does a simple purchase, something like a little piece of clothing for a kid, have any connection to something as huge and complicated as a global crisis? Well, to answer that, we actually have to rewind the clock way back. So, way back in 1899, this economist, Thorstein Veblen, he came up with this term, conspicuous consumption. He was looking at the super wealthy, who used all this extravagant spending to show off, to signal their elite status. But here's the thing. Today, this isn't just for the rich. It's an incredibly powerful force that shapes how pretty much all of us make decisions.
So why? Why do we do it? This goes way deeper than just needing things. It actually taps into this fundamental psychological drive we all have to define and, express who we are.
Media theorist Stuart Ewing had a great name for this, the commodity self. The whole idea is that in our consumer culture, we literally build our identities from the brands we pick. Are you an Apple person or an Android person, a Nike person or an Adidas person? Brands are basically selling us these little identity kits, the building blocks of what they promise is a unique you.
And this idea, this purchased identity, it doesn't just stop with us. There's this other concept called the extended self. The idea that our stuff, it becomes a part of us. And this absolutely applies to our families. A lot of parents see their kids as an extension of themselves, which leads them to buy these high-status things for their children as a way of signaling their own social standing. So here's the key takeaway from all this. When we buy a branded item, we're not just buying an object. We're communicating. We are sending signals out into the world about our taste, our success, and our place in the whole social food chain. Okay, so you've got this individual's psychological need, right? Now let's pour some gasoline on that fire, and that gasoline is rising inequality. Let's dig into how this works. The research here is really, really clear. When the gap between the rich and everybody else in a community is smaller, there's just less social pressure to spend money on status symbols. But as that gap gets wider and wider, that pressure to keep up with the Joneses just intensifies. We spend more and more to visually show that we're not getting left behind. And the scale of this is, well, it's pretty staggering. One really detailed study on how parents spend money came up with this number. On average, over 30% of a family's spending on their kids' clothes goes to conspicuous items, things bought only to signal status. That's nearly a third of the budget, just for appearances, money that could have gone to savings or, other necessities. And here's the critical link researchers found. When income inequality goes up, people who can't match the top earners' incomes, they don't just give up. No way. They often go into debt to keep up appearances, to maintain their social position through the things they buy. The spending becomes this direct and often really costly reaction to the economy around them. But of course, this isn't just about physical stuff anymore. The exact same dynamic is now playing out in our digital lives, and it's created a whole new marketplace for status. The symbols of success have completely evolved. Where a luxury car or a designer bag used to be the big signal, now it might be getting access to a creator's paywalled videos, or owning some limited edition merch from a YouTuber, or, having that little blue verified checkmark. Status is shifting from what you own to what you can access and influence. And this new status marketplace is absolutely exploding. That number, that's the forecasted annual growth for platforms that let creators sell exclusive content. Think Patreon, Substack, that kind of thing. This is the financial machine being built to power our new digital version of keeping up with the Joneses. Technology has just created so many new ways to buy a sense of belonging. You can subscribe for exclusive access. You can tip a creator during a live stream just to get noticed. You can even signal your values by financially supporting creators who see the world the way you do. Sometimes people call this political consumerism, using your money not just for a product, but to make a social statement. Okay, so we've gone from the psychology inside our own heads to the digital world. Now, let's zoom all the way out. Because when you multiply these behaviors by billions of people, you get something much, much bigger. Massive, recurring waves of global debt. So according to the World Bank, the last half-century has seen 4 of these major debt waves.
The first three, stretching from the 70s all the way to 2009, they each ended in a massive financial crisis. And right now, we're living in the fourth one. And the sheer scale of this fourth wave, it's just unprecedented. In 1970, the total debt in developing economies was less than half of their GDP. By 2018, it had skyrocketed to 170%. That is a truly staggering increase in borrowing across the globe. So here's the crucial pattern. You have to see it. Every single one of these historic debt waves was fueled by a period of low interest rates. That's what makes borrowing cheap and easy for everyone. And every single one ended in financial chaos when things changed. This is a historical cycle, and it just keeps repeating. But the World Bank is warning that this current wave is uniquely dangerous. It's not just the biggest. It also involves new kinds of lenders who are operating in the shadows, outside the normal banking rules. Plus, more of the debt is held by private citizens and companies, not just governments. This whole complex, tangled web makes the entire global financial system much more fragile, much more vulnerable to a sudden shock. Which brings us all the way back to where we started. That individual psychological drive to signal our status through what we buy, whether it's a t-shirt or a digital subscription, it gets amplified by economic inequality. This fuels a massive demand for credit, and when that's combined with low interest rates, it helps create the perfect conditions for these enormous, dangerous waves of global debt. And all of that leaves us with one final, pretty challenging question. Are our own very human, very personal desires for belonging and recognition, are they now part of a system that's locking the entire world into this precarious, repeating cycle of boom and bust? It's a question worth thinking about.